Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. You know, when a company like Intel, that's INTC,
Right.
starts making headlines,
Yeah.
it's a good time for us to take a closer look.
Absolutely.
Especially with the stock doing its best impression of a roller coaster lately.
That's one way to put it.
Up big one day, down the next.
For sure.
Makes you wonder what's really going on, right?
It does. It raises some interesting questions, especially for investors. You've got this legacy tech giant,
Right.
a household name,
Right.
trying to navigate a landscape that's changing faster than ever.
Right. And our listeners are smart.
Oh, absolutely.
They're paying attention.
For sure.
But with all the conflicting opinions out there,
Yeah.
it's tough to cut through the noise.
It is.
So let's dive into some of these headlines.
Okay.
See if we can make sense of things.
Sounds good.
All right.
Let's start with the big one, Intel's Q4 2024 earnings.
Okay.
They blew past expectations.
Wow.
Bringing $80.3 billion in revenue.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's a significant win.
Wow.
Especially considering the intense competition they've been facing.
Right. Yeah, that number definitely turned some heads.
It did.
But it's not just about the earnings, is it?
No, it's not.
We're seeing a lot of buzz around Intel's push into artificial intelligence.
Yeah, AI is huge right now.
Specifically, their new AI chips.
Right.
Are those living up to the hype?
They're definitely making waves.
Okay.
The Gaudi 3 chip in particular is grabbing attention for
Okay.
its performance in deep learning tasks.
Interesting.
What's intriguing is that Intel seems to be taking a different approach than its rivals, like NVIDIA.
Oh, okay.
Instead of focusing solely on raw processing power, they're emphasizing energy efficiency and affordability.
So potentially carving out a niche for themselves in the AI market.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Now, how about the elephant in the room, the potential for government support?
Right.
There's a lot of talk about the U.S. government wanting to boost domestic chip production.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest in that.
How could that impact Intel?
Well, that's a potential game changer.
Okay.
The Chips and Science Act,
Right.
which aims to incentivize domestic semiconductor manufacturing, could provide Intel with significant subsidies and tax breaks.
That makes sense.
And then there are the rumors of a possible joint venture with TSMC.
Wait, a partnership with TSMC?
Yeah, that's the talk.
That's huge. TSMC is basically the gold standard for chip manufacturing, right?
Exactly. They're the world leader in advanced chip fabrication.
Okay.
So a tie-up with TSMC could give Intel access to cutting-edge technology and help them overcome some of their manufacturing challenges.
Right.
Of course, such a partnership would be incredibly complex.
Yeah, lots of moving parts, for sure.
A lot to figure out.
But let's back up for a second and put all this into context.
Okay.
We've got positive earnings, exciting developments in AI,
Right.
and this potential for major government support.
Yeah, big stuff.
Is it safe to say that Intel is on the upswing?
Well, while these are promising signs,
Okay.
it's important to remember that Intel's turnaround is far from guaranteed.
Oh.
They've been struggling to keep pace with competitors in terms of chip technology, and her manufacturing processes have faced setbacks.
I see.
They still have a lot to prove.
So it's not all sunshine and roses.
Right.
What are some of the key risks investors should be aware of?
Well, execution is critical.
Okay.
Can Intel deliver on their AI ambitions, improve their manufacturing, and navigate this potential partnership with TSMC effectively?
Right.
Those are big questions.
Those are big questions.
Yeah.
And then there's the broader market environment.
Oh, yeah. Always got to consider that.
We're seeing some volatility,
Right.
some uncertainty around interest rates and inflation. How does that factor into the Intel equation?
Well, it adds another layer of complexity. And downturn in the economy could impact demand for Intel's products.
Right.
And let's not forget the geopolitical risks.
Oh, yeah, those are always a factor these days.
The semiconductor industry is increasingly intertwined with global politics. And any escalation of tensions could disrupt supply chains
Right.
or impact Intel's operations.
Right, so there are definitely some potential storm clouds on the horizon.
There are definitely some things to keep an eye on.
But amidst these challenges, there are also opportunities.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you see?
Well, the demand for semiconductors is only going to increase in the coming years.
That's what they're saying.
If Intel can execute its strategy effectively,
Uh-huh.
they could be well positioned to capitalize on this growth.
Okay, so it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Lots of potential, but also a lot of uncertainty.
For sure.
I'm guessing that's why we're seeing so much volatility in the stock price.
Yeah, that's definitely a factor.
Investors are trying to weigh the potential rewards against the inherent risks.
It's a tough call.
That's what makes this situation so fascinating.
Absolutely a lot to watch here.
For sure. It's like a high-stakes poker game.
I like that analogy.
You got a sense of the players, the cards on the table.
Yeah.
But we don't know how it's all going to play out.
Nope, that's the exciting part.
But before we move on, let's zoom in on this potential TSMC partnership for a moment.
Okay.
If it does come to fruition,
Mm-hmm.
what are the potential benefits for Intel specifically?
Well, TSMC has a proven track record
They do.
of manufacturing chips at the smallest and most advanced nodes.
Right.
This means they can cram more transistors onto a single chip,
Wow.
leading to improved performance and energy efficiency.
So that's a big deal.
By partnering with TSMC,
Yep.
Intel could gain access to this cutting-edge technology
Mm-hmm.
and potentially leapfrog their competitors in terms of chip performance.
So it's like Intel getting a much-needed shot in arm
Yeah, you could say that.
from the best in the business.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a chance for them to revitalize their manufacturing capabilities
Okay.
and regain their competitive edge.
Makes sense.
Plus, TSMC's expertise could help Intel accelerate the development and production of their own advanced chips,
Mm-hmm.
like those targeting the AI market.
Sounds like a win-win.
On paper, it looks pretty good.
But haven't there been some skeptical voices about this partnership?
Oh yeah, there are always some doubts.
I mean, combining two massive companies like that can't be easy, right?
Absolutely. There are potential hurdles to overcome.
Like what?
Well, integrating two different corporate cultures,
Mm.
coordinating production processes,
Right.
and navigating potential intellectual property issues.
Yeah,
These are all challenges that could derail the partnership.
makes sense. And let's not forget the potential geopolitical implications.
Oh, those are huge.
We're talking about a U.S. company
Right.
potentially collaborating with a Taiwanese company
Uh-huh.
in a highly sensitive industry.
That adds another layer of complexity, for sure.
Right. The U.S. government is keen to reduce its reliance on foreign chip makers,
Yeah, that's been a big focus lately.
especially those based in Taiwan,
Uh-huh.
which is facing increasing pressure from China.
Yeah, it's a delicate situation.
A partnership between Intel and TSMC could raise concerns about national security and technology transfer.
Absolutely, those are valid concerns.
So it's not as simple as just shaking hands and calling it a day.
Nope, it's a lot more complicated than that.
There are a lot of factors at play.
It's a delicate balancing act between potential economic benefits and geopolitical considerations.
I see.
It'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Intriguing, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely one to watch.
But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about something else that's been making headlines, Intel's cost-cutting measures.
Right.
They've been making some pretty drastic moves lately, haven't they?
They have, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
They've halted dividend payments,
Wow.
announced significant layoffs,
Right.
and are looking to streamline operations across the board.
Okay.
It's a clear signal that they're serious about getting their financial house in order.
Those are tough decisions.
Yeah, they're not easy calls to make.
But are they the right ones? What's the rationale behind these cost-cutting measures?
Well, Intel's profitability has been declining in recent years.
Okay.
Partly due to their struggles in the chip market.
Mm-hmm.
These cost-cutting measures are aimed at improving their margins
I see.
and freeing up resources to invest in key growth areas like AI and advanced chip development.
So it's about tightening their belts in the short term
Yeah, kind of like a strategic reset.
to position themselves for long-term success.
Exactly.
They're trying to strike a balance between immediate financial health and future growth potential.
That's the goal.
Whether they can pull it off remains to be seen.
It's a wait-and-see situation.
Of course, but here's the question on everyone's mind. What does all this mean for investors?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Is Intel a buy, a sell, or what?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The answer, as with most things in investing, is it depends.
Okay, I knew you were going to say that.
Uh-huh.
But come on, give us something to work with.
All right.
What are the key factors investors should be considering?
First and foremost,
Okay,
they need to assess Intel's ability to execute its strategy.
right.
Can they deliver on their promises in AI,
Mm-hmm.
improve their manufacturing processes, and successfully navigate this potential partnership with TSMC?
Right.
If they can, there's significant upside potential.
So it all boils down to execution.
Yeah, execution is key.
They've got the ideas, the potential,
Uh-huh.
but can they make it happen?
That's the question.
And investors also need to consider their own risk tolerance and investment time frame.
Absolutely, that's crucial.
Intel is certainly not a low-risk play at this point.
No, it's definitely not for the faint of heart.
There's a lot of uncertainty baked into their story.
A lot of unknowns.
Right. It's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
But for those who are willing to ride out the volatility,
Yeah.
the potential rewards could be substantial.
That's the trade-off.
That's the trade-off.
Higher risk, higher potential reward.
So bottom line, Intel is a company at a crossroads.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They've got a lot going for them,
They do.
but they also face some significant challenges.
For sure.
Their performance in the coming quarters will be crucial in determining their future trajectory.
Absolutely. The next few quarters will be very telling. You know, one thing that really stands out to me about Intel's current situation is
What's that?
The sheer scale of their ambition.
Okay.
They're not just trying to catch up in the chip race.
Right.
They're aiming to become a dominant force in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's a bold move, especially considering the competition. NVIDIA has a pretty firm grip on the AI market right now.
They do.
What makes Intel think they can challenge that?
They're betting on a few key factors.
Okay, like what?
First, they're leveraging their expertise in data center technology.
Right, they're already a big player there.
Intel already provides the processors and infrastructure for a large chunk of the world's data centers.
Yeah.
They're hoping to leverage that existing footprint to make their AI chips the go-to choice for cloud computing and enterprise applications.
So they're trying to play to their strengths.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But what about the chips themselves? How do they stack up against NVIDIA's offerings?
That's where things get interesting.
Okay, that's it.
Intel's Gaudi 3 chip, as we mentioned earlier, is designed with a focus on efficiency and scalability.
Okay.
While it may not match NVIDIA's top-of-the-line GPUs and raw processing power,
Right.
It's designed to handle massive AI workloads in a more cost-effective and energy-efficient manner.
So potentially appealing to companies that are concerned about their bottom line and their environmental footprint.
You got it.
Okay, that makes sense. And let's not forget Intel's acquisition of Habana Labs.
Oh, yeah, good point.
Back in 2019. Habana specializes in AI processors designed specifically for deep learning tasks.
Right, they were a real pioneer in that area.
Intel is integrating Habana's technology into their AI roadmap.
Yeah, they're really trying to build a comprehensive AI portfolio.
Which could give them an additional edge.
It could.
Okay, so they're pulling out all the stops.
They're going all in on AI, that's for sure.
But let's be realistic.
Okay.
Turning around a company the size of Intel is like trying to steer an aircraft carrier.
Haha, yeah, that's a good analogy.
It takes time and a whole lot of effort.
No quick fixes here.
What are the key milestones investors should be watching for to gauge Intel's progress?
Good question. I'd say keep a close eye on their market share in the data center AI segment.
Okay.
If they can start to chip away at NVIDIA's dominance there,
Yeah.
that would be a strong signal that their strategy is working.
So market share is key.
Definitely.
Anything else?
Also watch for announcements about new partnerships and customer wins in the AI space.
So basically look for evidence that they're gaining traction and building momentum.
Precisely.
Okay, and don't underestimate the importance of execution.
Oh, yeah. Execution is everything.
Intel has a history of announcing ambitious plans.
They do love a good announcement.
But they haven't always been able to deliver those promises.
Right. They need to prove they can walk the walk.
They need to prove to investors that they can execute effectively and consistently.
Consistency is key in this business.
And what about the potential TSMC partnership?
Right. That's the big wild card.
If that does come to fruition, what would be the most important things to watch for?
I'd say pay attention to the specific terms of the deal.
Okay, like what specifically?
What kind of control would TSMC have over Intel's manufacturing facilities?
Right.
How would the intellectual property be handled?
Okay.
Those are crucial details that could impact the long-term success of the partnership.
Makes sense. And let's not forget the potential for regulatory hurdles.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
A deal of this magnitude would likely face scrutiny from antitrust regulators in the U.S. and other countries.
Absolutely. They'll be looking at it very closely.
And the geopolitical implications are significant as well.
Huge.
We're talking about a U.S. company potentially collaborating with a Taiwanese company in a highly sensitive industry.
Yeah, there are a lot of political sensitivities to navigate.
The U.S. government will be watching this partnership closely.
I'm sure.
And any concerns about national security or technology transfer could complicate things.
It's a delicate balancing act.
Okay, so it's a complicated situation to say the least.
It is.
Lots of potential, but also a lot of risks.
High risk, high reward.
That's a fair assessment. It's a high-stakes game with a lot of moving parts.
A lot to keep track of.
But isn't that what makes investing so exciting?
Haha, it definitely keeps things interesting.
It's all about trying to anticipate the future, weighing the possibilities, and making informed decisions based on the best available information.
That's the art of investing.
And in the case of Intel, there's no shortage of information to digest.
No kidding.
Earnings reports, analyst opinions, market trends, geopolitical developments.
Right, it's a fire hose of information.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It can be overwhelming.
But that's where having a good understanding of the fundamentals comes in handy.
Absolutely, you need a solid foundation to build on.
If you understand the underlying drivers of Intel's business, the competitive landscape, and the broader macroeconomic context,
right,
you can start to make sense of all the noise
through the clutter
and develop a more informed investment thesis.
Exactly. Do your homework and form your own opinion.
So let's bring it back to our listeners for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about Intel's potential, their challenges, the risks, the opportunities.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But what does it all mean for someone who's considering investing in Intel stock right now?
Well, if you're a risk-averse investor looking for a stable, predictable return, Intel's probably not the best fit for you right now.
Okay.
Their stock is likely to remain volatile for the foreseeable future
I see.
as they navigate this period of transition.
So not for the faint of heart.
Right. If you can't stomach the ups and downs, you
Yeah.
might want to steer clear.
But what about investors who are comfortable with a bit more risk?
Okay.
Is there a potential upside here?
Absolutely. If Intel can execute their strategy effectively, particularly in the AI space,
Right.
their stock could see significant appreciation in the coming years.
Okay, so there's a chance for big gains.
There is.
But only if they can deliver.
Execution is key.
Their current valuation might not fully reflect their long-term growth potential.
Right. There could be some hidden value there.
Especially if they can regain their technological edge.
If they can get back on the cutting edge,
Yeah.
the sky's the limit.
So it's a classic high-risk, high-reward scenario.
That's one way to put it.
But I'd say it's more nuanced than that.
I agree.
It's not just about gambling on a potential turnaround.
Right.
It's about assessing Intel's ability to adapt to a changing market and capitalize on emerging opportunities.
They need to be agile and forward-thinking.
And that requires a deeper understanding of their business, their technology, and their competitive landscape.
You need to do your due diligence.
Exactly. It's not enough to just follow the headlines or listen to what the talking heads are saying.
No, you need to dig deeper.
You need to do your own research, develop your own informed opinion.
Think for yourself.
And be prepared to ride out the ups and downs.
Investing is a long game.
Right. Because investing, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Patience and discipline are essential.
So for those listeners who are considering investing in Intel, what's the one piece of advice you would give them?
I'd say focus on the fundamentals.
Okay, back to basics.
Look beyond the hype and the noise.
Right, cut through the clutter.
And try to understand the underlying drivers of Intel's business.
Get to the heart of it.
Pay attention to their progress in key areas like AI and advanced chip development.
So track their progress closely.
Yeah, see if they're walking the walk.
And don't forget to factor in the broader market context and the geopolitical landscape.
Right, those are always important factors.
The semiconductor industry is global and highly interconnected.
It's a global ecosystem.
Any major disruptions to global supply chains or shifts in geopolitical alliances could impact Intel's business.
Absolutely. Those are risks to keep in mind.
Lots to consider.
Yeah, there's a lot on the table.
But that's what makes investing both challenging and rewarding.
It's a mental game.
In the case of Intel, it's a story that's still being written.
The ending is yet to be determined.
The coming years will be crucial in determining whether they can reclaim their position as a leader in the technology industry.
It's a make-or-break time for Intel.
Exciting times. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this part.
I have.
We've delved into Intel's AI ambitions, the potential benefits and challenges of the TSMC partnership.
Right. A lot of ifs and buts there.
The rationale behind their cost-cutting measures.
Trying to get lean and mean.
And what all this means for potential investors.
A lot to think about.
We've also touched on the importance of understanding the fundamentals.
Back to basics.
Assessing risk tolerance.
Know your limits.
And taking a long-term perspective when it comes to investing.
Don't get caught up in the short-term noise.
Exactly. Now, in the next part,
okay,
we'll shift our focus to some of the broader trends shaping the semiconductor industry.
The big picture stuff.
And explore what the future might hold for Intel in this dynamic landscape.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, we're back for the final stretch of our look into Intel. We've talked a lot about the company-specific stuff, earnings AI, the potential TSMC tie-up.
Right.
But now I want to zoom out a bit.
Okay.
What are some of the bigger trends in the semiconductor industry that could impact Intel's future? For better or for worse?
Well, one of the most significant trends is the growing demand for chips across a wide range of industries.
We're not just talking about computers and smartphones anymore.
No, not at all.
It's everything from cars to refrigerators to medical devices.
That's right.
Is becoming increasingly reliant on semiconductors.
Everything is getting smarter and more connected.
So it's like chips are the new oil.
Yeah.
The fuel that powers the modern economy.
That's good anarchy.
And this surging demand is putting a strain on global supply chains.
Absolutely.
We saw that play out during the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
When chip shortages caused production delays and price hikes across multiple sectors.
It was a mess.
Right. It was a wake-up call for a lot of companies and governments.
It was.
They realized just how vulnerable they were to disruptions in the semiconductor supply chain.
It exposed a lot of weaknesses.
Exactly. And that's why we're seeing a push for greater diversification of chip manufacturing.
Right. Got to spread the risk.
The U.S. government, in particular, is keen to reduce its reliance on Asian foundries, especially those based in Taiwan.
Yeah, they want to bring more of that production back home.
Which brings us back to the potential Intel-TSMC partnership.
Full circle.
That could be a way for Intel to ramp up its domestic production capacity
It could.
and help the U.S. secure its semiconductor supply chain.
It's a potential win-win.
It could, but as we discussed earlier, such a partnership would come with its own set of challenges and complexities.
Yeah, it's not a simple solution.
For sure. Now let's talk about another major trend, the rise of artificial intelligence.
AI is everywhere.
We've already discussed how Intel is making a big bet on AI, but how is this broader trend shaping the semiconductor industry as a whole?
AI is driving demand for increasingly powerful and specialized chips.
Okay.
Traditional CPUs are no longer sufficient to handle the massive computational demands of AI workloads.
So they need something more powerful.
Exactly.
Got it.
We're seeing the emergence of new types of chips,
Okay.
like GPUs, FPGAs, and ASICs that are specifically designed for AI applications.
And this is where companies like NVIDIA have really taken the lead, right?
They have. NVIDIA has been at the forefront of this trend.
But Intel, as we've discussed, is making a serious effort to catch up.
Yeah, they're investing heavily in AI chip development
Okay.
and partnering with companies like Habana Labs to bolster their capabilities.
It's a high-stakes race.
Absolutely.
Whoever controls the AI chip market could have a significant advantage in the years to come.
It's a battle for the future.
And the competition isn't just coming from NVIDIA.
Nope, it's a crowded field.
Other players like Google, Amazon, and even Tesla are developing their own AI chips.
Everyone wants a piece of the pie.
So it's a crowded field. What does Intel need to do to stand out from the crowd and succeed in this rapidly evolving market?
They need to continue to innovate and develop cutting-edge AI chips
Okay, keep pushing the boundaries.
that offer a compelling combination of performance, efficiency, and cost-effectiveness.
Got it.
They also need to build a strong ecosystem of partners and developers
Right. Got to have that support network.
who can leverage their technology and create AI-powered applications that solve real-world problems.
So it's not just about building the best chips.
No, it's about the bigger picture.
It's about creating an ecosystem that fosters innovation and adoption.
It's about building a community around your technology.
Exactly. And Intel also needs to execute flawlessly.
Oh yeah, can't afford any slip-ups.
They can't afford any more missteps or delays.
The AI market is moving fast.
Yeah.
And they need to keep pace.
All right, so we've got a sense of the big picture trends. Now let's try to put it all together.
Okay.
What's your outlook for Intel's future?
That's a tough one.
Are you optimistic, pessimistic, or somewhere in between?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Okay, why cautiously?
Intel has a lot of challenges to overcome.
Right, we've talked about those.
But they also have a lot of strengths.
Like
They
what?
have a long history of innovation.
Yeah, they're a pioneer in the industry.
A strong brand.
People know and trust Intel.
And a deep understanding of the semiconductor industry.
They've been doing this for a long time.
They know the ins and outs of the business.
And they've got a lot riding on their success.
Oh yeah, the stakes are high.
They're not just fighting for market share.
It's bigger than that.
They're fighting for their relevance in the future of technology.
It's an existential battle.
That's true, and their performance could have a significant impact on the U.S. economy as well.
Right, there's a national interest here.
The semiconductor industry is a key driver of innovation and growth, and Intel is one of the few remaining U.S.-based companies that can compete at the highest level.
They're carrying the torch for American tech.
So their success is not just important for their shareholders.
It goes beyond Wall Street.
It's important for the country as a whole.
It's about national competitiveness.
Precisely. And that's why their story is so compelling. It's about more than just profits and losses.
It's about something bigger.
It's about the future of technology, the global balance of power,
Yeah, those are big themes.
and the role of American innovation in the 21st century.
It's a story with global implications.
Well said. This has been a truly insightful conversation. Thanks for breaking it all down for us.
My pleasure. I always enjoy talking about Intel.
And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this look into Intel. We hope you found it informative and engaging. Don't forget to subscribe to Investing Talk Podcast, leave us a comment, and share this episode with anyone who might find it valuable. Until next time, happy investing.